Are you tired of the same old pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 4,000 hours of the best pro wrestling events from over 110 of the biggest names in the industry from over 15 countries around the globe. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Don't you want to sound rich?
Welcome to the 65th episode of Social Suplex's podcast about AEW with a proclivity for positivity. Welcome to all things elite. My name is Austin Sumwitz. I am your lovely host for this show and this evening, and I am joined with my best friend, my good buddy Floyd. How you doing, my man?
I am doing well. I just got older a few days ago.
Yeah!
And it's cool because Dynamite was on my birthday, which it brings mixed feelings because I was supposed to be there, but I was not. We will move on from that, so we're not sad place. We like to stay positive around here. I got my gift from your sister, Miss Sumowitz, and my other podcast partner. It's like I spend Saturday with Austin, Sunday with Sydney. It works out for me. She got a picture framed. It was our picture from Double or Nothing, I believe. All three of us taking pictures.
Yeah, I helped her find that photo because she told me about the idea, and I'm like, that sounds awesome. So I helped her find that picture.
So I got that picture, and it's going to be on my desk in my office, and it made me happy. It brightened my Saturday because I was kind of bored today.
Well, we're glad we were able to help you out with that. Yeah, we love that you have a weekend full of Sumowitzes.
Yes, I enjoy that also. Got my new microphone today. It is super sensitive, and I'm not using it right now because I have to learn how to use it. Got to figure that out.
For full disclosure, you got a Blue Yeti USB microphone, correct?
I did get a Blue Yeti USB microphone.
Which is actually... That is the mic that I'm using. Yeah.
Oh,
Cindy has
Yeah,
we're all Blue Yeti.
Yeah, so.
Cindy has the Nano, I believe, which is a different brand. It's slightly smaller, but I believe we have the same mic. So I will be helping you figure that out.
No, me and Sydney have the same ones.
Oh, so you have the Nano too? Okay,
yeah.
I have just the basic Blue Yeti then.
Okay, see, I didn't know there was any difference.
It's bigger and it has different things you can do. So like different formats of how you want to use your mic. So instead of just cardioid and omnidirectional, it has different formats that you can put it in.
Dude.
But
yeah,
pretty much same thing.
As a person that's been doing podcasting 4 years, I know surprisingly little about the equipment that you use to record said podcasting. Because the guy that got me into it he already had his system and how he did things set up. So he was just like, just keep doing it this way. And I was like, okay, I'll just keep doing it that way.
No, it took me a while too because like I worked with a company that just had gear for us to use. So I was just like, I just came in and did my thing. But then once we moved away from that, I was like, well, now I got to figure out how to do all this stuff by myself. So I better figure out good microphones and audio editing and stuff like that. So I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah, like I said, I was talking to you, and you were like, how do you do this? Do you want me to send your audio? I was like, well, what are you? Huh? I was like, I have no idea. I'm like, it was like I'm on IT, and it was like you were speaking a foreign language to me, because just because you work on computers don't mean you know everything about it. Like, you can work in my space, which is IT, which is, making sure software works right and their computer's up. Then you can work in your space that you're more familiar with, which is audio editing, sound and quality and stuff. And those are two completely different spaces. But,
yeah, tech is just a super deep field.
Yes, but if you talk to someone and you tell them you work on computers, they expect you to know 100% about both.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I never do this part of it. I just put on a headset and talk about wrestling for an hour or two every week. But, yeah, I don't know the details of it, So, yeah, it's fun. I like to learn that kind of stuff, so I look forward to learning as much as I can about making the sound quality as good as possible. So
yeah, we'll definitely get to that point too. So we'll get that all sorted out. But anyway, enough of our tech mumble jumble babble. We're here to talk about all things Elite and AEW for this week. But before we get into that, I want to remind you guys and start off the show that this episode of All Things Elite is brought to you by Power Slam TV. Power Slam TV is where you get access to over 4,000 hours of content from over 110 of your favorite wrestling brands from countries all around the globe right onto your laptop and mobile devices. And if you use the code Social Suplex, you get your first month free. And I want to make sure that you guys are downloading this fine show on Google or Apple Podcasts. And if you could, please leave a rating and a review if you are so inclined to. And if you want, you could also leave a donation through our new podcast provider, Red Circle. And be sure to support us by following us on Twitter. You follow the podcast at AT Elite Pod. Be sure to follow Social Suplex at Social Suplex. Follow myself at SZoomer4 and follow my buddy Floyd at Floyd Johnson Jr. on Twitter. Now let's get into the big news of the week for AEW. And the big news is just rolling into Fyter Fest, where the road continues on before we get to Fyter Fest, that 2-week event, which is just slowly just building and building and building, and I'm getting more and more excited at the closer we get to it, and especially with how Dynamite and Being the Elite has been building this show up, I'm getting really excited to see how they pull it off. So, how are you feeling leading into Fyter Fest, Floyd?
I'm excited. We got some kind of match announcements. We saw a little build-up this week on each of the shows. I'm looking forward to it. I see Fyter Fest is just like their other shows like they did last year, like it was last year. It's something between a TV and a pay-per-view, so it's a little bit more than the TV and not quite a pay-per-view. I'm hoping a lot of people tune into the TV. I hope we can bust that 1 million. I know that's putting a lot of pressure on that show, but I want to pop that 1 million cherry, you know what I mean?
Yeah, let's do it, yeah.
Yeah. So I want to break 1 million those 2 weeks and get everybody, make sure everybody's watching. So
yeah, it's definitely going to be
make sure you tell your people that don't watch to watch.
Yeah, be sure to tell everybody to tune in, and also I'm going to be very interested to see how many people who tune into the first week actually stick around for the second week, because that's going to be a huge indicator of how many people are going to continue to follow it. So that's going to be really interesting. Some other interesting stuff we saw this week in Being the Elite, we had an episode titled Colonoscopy, which
yes, did you watch it?
You've yet to. I have watched it. Yes.
Yes. So I turned 39 this week. Not just trying to pop myself for saying my birthday again, but next year I turn 40.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what I get to start doing once a year? Exactly what he described on VTE Colonoscopy. And when he describing this thing to me,
it's something.
It is something, and it just sounds like dreadful. Like, I was like, man, I'm turning 40. Woo, woo. Big party for my 40th birthday. Oh, you're going to have to drink a chalky oatmeal type substance on an empty stomach to where you empty out your colon so they can stick a camera up your butt.
I will tell you right now, this is why I'm so happy that I'm currently 23 years old. I am so happy I got some time.
And it was like seriously watching that, and I was like, it didn't ruin my day, but I thought about it for a few hours.
I mean, how could you not? He very much went into detail about it, and was just kind of a thing that I didn't really ask for, but I mean, it was entertaining to hear him talk about it, I guess, but I mean, like, I just don't need that image necessarily in my head.
BTE started as a travel blog, just behind the scenes on what wrestlers go through. And
this is very behind the
scenes. You can't get more behind the scenes than CD telling you about, yeah. And, it's crazy, like, full disclosure, I've had my prostate checked, right? And again,
congrats.
It's not comfortable. It is not. It is the weirdest, most like if someone took a picture of me or a video of me getting my prostate checked, I would kill them so that picture or video would never get out because I could just imagine how it looks. It is a medical procedure, completely normal, but it looks really, really weird. Now, I take that, and I feel like I'll multiply it by 10 with someone sticking a camera up there and looking around.
Yeah. Well, first off, glad CD had a fun time filming his segment for BTE.
Glad there was no
good
issues.
For CD.
Glad, burnt off a few polyps, and he seems to be good now. But I am like that time is the next year is gonna move faster because I am dreading it.
Just take it day by day. Take it day by day.
Take it day by day.
We also had another segment, which I really want to talk about because it's slowly becoming another one of my faves, which is Kenny Omega just slowly bending his will to Colt Cabana because he is terrified of Chris Harrington. Which, I mean, I get it. I totally get it. Dude just seems like he's a wild card. You don't know how to put a handle on him. But Colt had a segment. He tried to do his bit of the week, and it had a little bit of trouble, a little bit of flubbing going through it as an audio man and as a on-air personality. I get it. You just got to push through it. You get through it, and you'll be able to make it through without stumbling over your words and being like, wait, I got to do it again. I get it, Colt. You'll get through it. But Kenny is like he's saying he's going to try to find a way to get Colt off the show and even off Dynamite as long as Chris Harrington's not there. Because if he's there, we're just going to ignore the situation.
That is, it is hilarious because Chris, it's one of those weird things. I have this kind of weird history because Chris used to do this show called WrestleNomics, and it was on the Voice of Wrestling Network, and I was pretty much a loyal listener of WrestleNomics, and everyone kept saying, well, Chris Harrington's going to be on this. Chris Harrington's going to be on that, and I'm like, not that one, and I found out it's the same one. Then I got to meet him at a couple of the shows when he's just walking around, how they do at StarCast. He's the most unassuming human being ever, and the fact that Kenny Omega's afraid of him is hilarious to me. Not saying he couldn't kick my ass, but I'm just saying I'm not, based on looking at him, I'm not going to be afraid of him. I love that guy.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's amazing. Chris Harrington is, and the ability for him to snap. So he used to talk about on his shows, he would be in improv competitions. He's like, improv comedian or whatever. So yeah. I'm glad he's getting a chance to share his acting chops on BTE.
I am too. Yeah, he's done a really, really good job, and like I said, it's become one of my favorite segments. One last thing I want to talk about with Being the Elite was the segment with Matt Jackson. As we've seen over the past few weeks, certain things Matt has been trying to get out of, whether it be meetings, whether it be media, or other sort of things that he just doesn't want to deal with. So he seems to just try to get his way out of it by either gigging or applying fake blood or blading. But this time he didn't have his blade. He didn't have any fake blood, it seemed like. So he had to try to find a way to bust himself open hard way. He tried doing it with the door, didn't go well. He tried doing it by going down the slide into the ground, didn't work out. He then proceeded to do something just completely horrific. We all saw the horrific bump that Sammy Guevara took at the Stadium Stampede match. But I would like to say that cannot compare to what we saw in Being the Elite this week. Matt Jackson went headfirst into a case of Legos. Fuck, that hurt.
Yeah, that is how you end up in the hospital there. I don't know if any of you.
We're just lucky he didn't puncture multiple veins and ended up with a concussion, because that was GCW levels of dangerous.
Yes, it's like someone's like, oh, I'm gonna go into some Legos. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you gonna do this? I don't know why Matt would do that to himself.
Just rethink
what he does. What he does to
I will say we had a nice super kick attempt from his shot.
Yes. What he does to entertain us on BTE, we don't deserve. We don't deserve Matt Jackson.
We really don't, honestly. It's just, and good on him. He got out of the Zoom call, so there you go. But those are the highlights we saw from Being the Elite. Moving into AEW Dark, we had some matches that took place that will go down the card. We had a SCU taking on Fuego del Sol and Lowrider, and SCU ended up getting the victory with Fuego taking the pinfall. We had a new joining of the Dark Order with Alan Angels actually joining the Dark Order, becoming number 5, and then he took on Lee Johnson immediately after, ended up picking up the victory, in fact. Musa and Brady Pierce took on Pride and Powerful, and Pride and Powerful ended up getting the victory. My apologies. We then had QT showing off the Natural Nightmare shirt, and he is still accompanied by Ali, who is just slowly continuing to move deeper and deeper into the circle that is the Nightmare family, and just people around QT are not digging it at all. But QT does not care anymore. He is just fully over the moon, in love, like you wouldn't imagine, as you can tell.
That's his girl.
That's his girl. And, like, you know what? Can't really argue with you. I mean, everyone's saying for QT to get eyes in the back of his head, but I'm just like, I can't say anything. I'm just like, I would be acting the exact same way. So we've said this before. Like, I totally get it, QT. Like, you don't have to explain anything else to us. We then had the Butcher and the Blade taking on Anthony Cantana and Pineapple Pete. Butcher and Blade ended up getting the victory. And then QT had his match against Zach Clayton that he picked up. And then Sonny Kiss took on CD.
Okay.
In a I wanted you to talk about this match because you had something to say about this.
This match was surprisingly good. Like, every time I've seen Sonny Kiss wrestle, I've wanted to see him wrestle more. And every time and CD is one of the greatest of all time. So CD has the multiple roles in the company, I imagine. And I was just like, I was wondering how this match was going to be. And it was one of the few matches on Dark. You look at the matchup, you didn't know who was going to win. Like, all the rest of the matches, it's pretty Dark is pretty predictable. It's a bunch of jobber matches. But CD is going against Sonny Kiss. Sonny Kiss is one of the young talent. He doesn't lose a lot. CD is, older talent. He's lost before. So I was like, man, we could go either way. They went out and really put on a good match. I don't know how many of you might skip Dark. If you happen to skip Dark, watch the CD and Sonny Kiss match. It was actually very entertaining.
I also really enjoyed that match. I was very surprised. I think that I had the very same opinion about you with Sonny Kiss, where I was like, I really like the character. I like the look. I like everything about it. I just need to see more in-ring stuff, because I was like, I've seen bits and pieces in certain areas like Battle Royals and other sort of stuff on Dark, but I was like, if I can get a really good, just solid match to just see her work with somebody, I think we'll see him work with somebody, I would be really down to see that. And him and CD did really good. I was surprised with that.
And interesting enough, I found out on social media, Sonny Kiss can be identified as him or her. It does not matter.
Okay, I was gonna say I didn't actually see what her identifications were or what her pronouns were looking for. So I'm glad that you actually pointed it out because I was hoping I didn't flip on that.
Jim Ross called her on a show and everybody went out. And he was like, I was informed by Sonny that he can be referred to he or she. You can use the he or she pronoun, and it works for Sonny all day long. So can't go wrong there.
Good to know, and I think it's really good for fans to know that as well because I think it's just really cool to know. And then finally, the last match we had on Dark was Jurassic Express taking on the very, 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 very bad team of Brandon Cutler and Peter Avalon, who will never get along, ever, and will just can't get a win when they team together. I don't know why they continue to do so because it just doesn't work out. Jurassic Express ended up getting the victory. Those two need to sort their shit out because they can get. I feel like they both can get a win, just not with each other.
Yes, Brandon is actually, if I was like listing my top 5 in AEW, he's in my top 5. It's just I love a good story, and he's just a very down to earth, chill dude, and I just love a good story. And the whole idea of him going away from wrestling, coming back, doing the video for Young Bucks, never, even though I guarantee you, I will tell you right now, if I would have begged the Young Bucks for a job. But the fact that he was doing all that stuff and never asked for a job, never asked for a favor, that blows my mind. Dude, I was raised with closed mouth don't get fed. So I'd have asked him as soon as, AEW, can I have a job? But the fact that he never did that always blows my mind away. So Brandon Cutler's a favorite of mine. And I love this storyline about him and Peter getting who's going to get the first win. Now, I think something would be hilarious is if you take those two and you put them against another team that loses all the time, right? And so Brandon hits his move or whatever, and he's about to get the pin. And Avalon wants to be the one that pins him, so he pulls Brandon off of him, right?
Yeah.
And then that cost him the match. That would be hilarious.
That would be a really good, actually. That would be a really good finish, I think.
I just watched it in this one. I was like, dude, what if they were winning and then Peter Avalon, screwed them out of a win because he didn't want Brandon to get the pin. And, of course, Brandon might do the same thing. He doesn't want Peter to get the pin because, if Peter gets the pin, he's going to talk shit to Brandon. He's going to be like, well, I'm 1-0. I won. You didn't. That kind of thing.
Exactly. That would be an amazing finish. And going on with Cutler as well, I really like. I don't remember. Was the promo on Dynamite or was it on Being Elite where he talked about just everything that he had experienced being in the first match of AEW in the Double or Nothing Casino Battle Royale, slowly moving on and just talking about his career, but then just talking about how he's kind of just hit a complete slump with this losing streak. And I like the different elements that they're slowly putting in his character because I think having those different elements helps a lot with his character. Because I think the character of just being the Young Bucks friend and being just a fan of D&D is a little too isn't enough. I feel like I think they're really starting to try to implement more levels to his character, which I think is definitely needed, and I think is something that can make him even better than he is. And that promo he cut was with that interview was actually, I really, really like that. So I don't have a lot of bad things to say about Brandon Cutler, and I think just adding more to his character is just going to make it even better.
I love his super new big D20 die.
Yeah,
it is huge. He explained it was custom made by, I believe, a gaming shop made it so because the other dice wouldn't show up on camera, or die wouldn't show up on camera. So he had a big one made. I thought that was pretty cool. Like I said, I just dig Brandon Cutler. It's like I know people he loses all the time, but it's like that's the thing about AEW. He loses all the time, but it's a storyline, right?
Yeah.
QT, everyone's like, oh, he's just Cody's friend. He has a storyline. Like, everybody in the show, even the lower characters, has something that they're building to. They're not all going to build the world title matches or world title, or a belt, but they're leading to something. And I just think that is, to me, like, the best, because, and again, this is not to shit on WWE, because that's not what I do, and that's what not the show's about. But as a person that's been watching wrestling long enough, when you see that you have like favorite wrestlers that are not on TV or stuff, you wonder why they can't have storylines like these. You know what I mean? Like little storylines. Like Ricochet right now. Why can't he have like he's losing his confidence storyline? Why can't those things exist inside the world? And in AEW, and like I said, this was just a compare and contrast. But AEW, yes, there is a full, like Brandon and Peter have a full-on rivalry going on over who's going to get their first win. I'm like, this could go on for 3 years if they wanted it to. Look, all they got to do is keep losing. And actually, the more he loses, the more interesting the storyline is. And then you have like QT in the alley thing. It's like QT's like a trainer, you know what I mean? He's not a wrestler, now. And now he has a full-on storyline, the Natural Nightmares thing, that leads from Dark, that's leading into Dynamite. Come on.
Yeah.
That's just entertaining. That's just like everything that you see matters. You know what I mean?
It's utilizing your roster to its fullest potential, because I will say this is, and it's not a knock on the WWE. They have one of the biggest and most stacked pro wrestling rosters that you've seen them have in a very long time. Just the fact that rarely half of those guys and girls get utilized to their full potential is just heartbreaking, because you just imagine that if they could just make sure everyone has something going on, like the amount of content they could make, especially considering they have a 3-hour show on Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and then there are like other shows that they decide to film as well. They could have everybody getting some good shit in, but I don't know. It's just, but what AEW is doing is just utilizing the roster as best as you can.
Yeah, Alan Angels, a jobber, has a storyline. He's in the Dark Order now.
There you go.
Along with Preston Vance, who they're building up. The Beaver Boys, who everybody thought, oh, Jon Moxley beat them both in like 2 minutes. And that wasn't like a thing. But that all led to them joining the Dark Order. It just makes sense. And it's just like, that's just beautiful. It's like, you can watch Dark, you can watch BT, you can get as involved or uninvolved with the product as you want. If you could just turn in on Wednesdays and watch TV, and you'll be fine. But if you want that extra layer of information, you have all these other ways to watch it.
And you're rewarded for watching all those other stuff. It's not like where you'll turn on a C show on a wrestling show, and you just watch and you're like, there was really no need for me to watch that. It didn't really add anything else to the story. If you watch Dark and you watch Being the Elite, stuff gets added to your enjoyment, and the payoffs get better just from consuming more content. So just them doing that is just a better way to make the show feel more complete. But anyways,
I completely agree with you. That's all I was saying.
All right, cool. With that out of the way, let's get to AEW Dynamite for this week. We opened up, first of all, with Le Champion Chris Jericho coming back to do commentary. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. As a man, like I said before, I'm a big fan of commentary being done well, and especially wrestlers who can show off their commentary chops. Jericho does a very good job, and I was very happy to see him back on the show on commentary. It's always nice for me to see. It's just a nice little adjustment, and he adds a lot to the show. He does.
He is amazing. But if he's going to be on there, someone else has to leave.
I was going to say, I didn't want to go too hard on it. 4-person commentary teams aren't I don't love them. Just somebody's gonna get squashed out, and like you're not gonna be able to get your shit in.
It felt crowded, and let's just say I always think of, since Dynamite's fairly young, I always think about what if this was someone's first episode.
True.
That was a lot coming at them, 4 different voices, and it's like, well, who's saying what? Who's the color guy? Who's the commentary guy? Why is Jericho there? I could see them asking those questions. That's just putting myself in that position. I found him basically taking shots at everybody while still putting them over was hilarious. Like, he makes fun of Excalibur for knowing all the moves, but he says, hey, that guy knows everything. So he's like, well, Jim Ross is a legend, and then says something about barbecue sauce. It was just so weird. It was like only Chris Jericho could do what he did because he was burying them and putting them over at the same time.
Yeah, only he could make that work. I am personally of the opinion, and this is not a slight to any of the members of the team or anything, I am personally of the opinion 2-person commentary teams is what I like most. Everybody's able to get their shit in when there's a 2-person commentary team. There's not a lot of room of like clutter, and it's easier to understand. 3 people I can deal with. It's been that way for years now. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of it, I can deal with it and I'll accept it. Like I said, once you get to 4 people, I'm just like, okay, we gotta chill here. Yeah. Like when WrestleMania would have like every commentator from Raw and SmackDown and then even NXT. I'm like, we gotta chill here. I can barely tell who's talking with this many people on commentary, and especially this will be my one slight against WWE. With how overproduced their commentary is, having that many people just makes it even worse. The only reason I'm taking a slide at that is because I'm very critical of their commentary. Anyways, enough with that.
Yeah, because, like, I find it weird, like, when I'm listening to AEW, Excalibur and Tony Schiavone, I love both of them, but they kind of do the same job.
Mm-hmm. I do think they both deserve to be there. It's just, it's a weird thing. We're just so used to 3-man teams. It's just like, and plus they both add something, but it's just they kind of like I said, somebody's gonna blend with somebody.
Yeah, Excalibur and Taz, I think is a great team, right? And I think if they did Tony and Jim Ross, that would be a fine team. But it's just like when you throw Excalibur and Tony there, guys that essentially do the same job, they at times can step on each other. I think it's fine. Don't get me wrong. I am one of those people. I put very little stock in commentating. I just watch wrestling. I like it does not bother me. Like I've heard people say Jim Ross is like bad, and I'm just like,
he's not.
He's not. And it's like now when he did the New Japan shows, he actively took away from the wrestling. That is when you're bad to me. When I am paying attention to you instead of the wrestling. That's why I think Tony Schiavone's so good. Because he just lets what in the ring tells the story. Excalibur does that too. They just let the ring work. Excalibur does it with knowing every move name. Tony Schiavone explains a little bit of the strategy that goes in it. They do it different ways, but they extenuate you telling the story. Now, like I said, because they both do the same job, it does sometimes they bump into each other. That's why I love Excalibur and Taz on Dark. They have 2 clear roles, and then they do it. It's just, like I said, on Dynamite, they've only worked together, 6 months?
Yeah.
Give them more time, they will fall right into place on what they do.
Yeah. First off, I'm hurt that you say you don't pay attention to commentary, but we'll get past it. We'll get past it.
I will pay attention to it when you're doing the commentating.
Okay, I accept that. We started off tonight's Dynamite with the official AEW in-ring debut of FTR as they took on the Butcher and the Blade after their little encounter during FTR's interview with Tony Schiavone at the Jacksonville Jaguars. I want to say headquarters. We'll just call it headquarters. So after their encounter, Dax and Cash said, we're going to meet like businessmen. Let's meet in the ring. And this was their first match on Dynamite. And yep. I have no notes. I'm just happy they're here.
Right, okay.
I'm just happy they're here. I'm sure you have notes on this match. I was just like, they're here. I'm happy. I can't add anything else. I'm just, yes.
Let me do my thing.
Let's go.
This was my first birthday gift from AEW. My favorite tag team in the world, FTR showing up. I called it after the match. If anyone of you follow the AT Elite Pod on Twitter, I called it a love letter to tag team wrestling, this match. The reason I said that, and people are like, oh man, that's overblown. Everything they did in the match, I mean, they had their in-ring, their work, but everything was just taking a little bit from something that another tag team used to do. Like when they threw in the ropes and they both just did the double arm smash, double arm smash, I believe it was to the blade. That was something Demolition used to do. They then did the suplex and splash combination. That was the finisher of Power and Glory. They then did the spike pile driver to end the match. That was the finisher of the Brainbusters. It was like they went through a list of their favorite tag teams and did the move. Even Cash Wheeler, who when he came off the ropes with the drop kick, that was something Mr. Perfect used to do. It was like the Revival was literally, taking little pieces from wrestling history and letting it play out on the match. So it was like, wow, and then it's like, even their Shatter Machine is now called the Good Night Express. A tip to the hat to their favorite tag team of all time, the Midnight Express. And then I forgot what they called the spike pile driver or the stuff pile driver. I forgot what they called it as a finisher. Does it say on the review what they call it? I mean,
let me take a look real quick. So the spike pile driver you said?
Yes.
No, I don't believe it is. I don't believe. The mind breaker. The mind breaker stuff pile driver.
Yes. So they did the mind breaker, and it was just like that goes back to old school when tag teams had finishers, the Heart Attack, the Vegematic, the Doomsday Device, where tag team finishers used to have names. And you see it on AEW. Excalibur is very good at that. I don't know if he gets it from the wrestlers and comes up with himself. But it's just, like I said, very much a match that if you were paying attention, or if you've been watching wrestling a long time, they literally just said, they pinned, this is who we're going to be going forward. They put together a bunch of moves that, like Power and Glory didn't look like the Revival, and it's like these teams did, and it was just like a bunch of tips of the cap to great wrestling of the past.
Absolutely. It was just such a fun time just to see them there.
I forgot. The Leapfrog, Spiral Slam, they called it Buzz Sawyer, but for somebody, Buzz Sawyer was probably a little bit before my time. I think he was late 70s, early 80s. But Rick Steiner used to do that. He'd come off reverse and you try to leapfrog it, and he'd turn it into a power slam. So that was their shout out to the Steiner brothers. That was the one I missed. Their shout out to the Steiner brothers. It was just like, and like me, who seriously, my favorite thing in wrestling is tag team wrestling. I'm just sitting there with my mouth wide open, like, wrestling orgasm. There you go.
Yeah. I barely noticed any of that, so I'm glad that you pointed that out.
Yeah, I'm old.
Wise, man. We say wise. We don't say old around here. We say wise.
Yeah.
Now, after this match took place, the Young Bucks came out, and they just said, we don't want to be rude. That match was great. We want to congratulate you. You two helped us out of a jam, but you didn't introduce yourselves to us, so we'll introduce ourselves to you. We're the best tag team in the world. We're the Young Bucks. It's nice to meet you finally. But then Butcher and Blade get their revenge and attack the Young Bucks. And then Jimmy Havoc and Kip Sabian, the Superbad Squad, which I love that name, they attack them as well. But then the AEW Tag Team Champions, Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page, even the odds. And then they chase them out. And Jim Ross just said, it's DTA. Don't trust anybody right now. Because we don't know what's going to go on with the Young Bucks and FTR. We're just waiting to see when it all kicks off. But
if the Young Bucks don't know what's coming, they're an ostrich, just because they basically because FTR's basically said they're gonna beat them up on every podcast, every station that they've been on. They said we're gonna beat them up. We can't wait for this to happen. So it's just like. Yeah,
I mean, they did get off Twitter.
My wife is over there, and she's like, even I know that, and I don't even pay attention.
Look, maybe getting Twitter wasn't the best decision for them in terms of scoping out the competition.
FTR has told everybody that they're basically going to beat up the Young Bucks.
Yep, pretty much. So they better be ready for that.
Yeah.
We had a backstage segment with the Natural Nightmares, and this is one of our new segments for what's going to be on next week's Dynamite. It was announced that the Natural Nightmares will be getting an AEW Tag Team title match against Omega and Adam Page. However, Dustin was just going after QT because Allie was there and had her own Nightmare Family jacket, and he's like, "Look, we need you to be in this. We need you to be focused for when we have this match. This is huge for us." So QT seemed like he understood, but not really, but kind of, but not really. So that's going to be on next week's Dynamite. And with Allie there, it's just, you can only have so much hope for the Natural Nightmares to win this. But then you realize, I don't know if QT is going to be able to pull this off. We know Dustin will come in, but I don't know about QT at this point in time. He's got other things on his mind, as you can see.
I like the random title shot that they're getting, because for the life of me, I don't know who the Natural Nightmares beat to get a title shot, which is, hey, I don't get it, but I am very excited with the whole Allie storyline of it on, especially with Dustin banning her from ringside, and he's the elder statesman of this team, so QT's listening, but it's just like, that's his girl, he's supposed to bring her out there, and Brandy's the manager, and she's the organizer of the group. It's very, like I said, I don't know where this is gonna go off. I mean, like I said, I have my theory that this is all to get back at Brandy, screwing with Brandy's life. Maybe I'm wrong. We will see.
Yeah, and I will say, I don't believe that Allie is going to follow Dustin's order. I feel like she might still show her pretty face to mess with QT a little bit. But
my biggest beef is she got a Nightmare Family jacket. I hope Cody made QT pay for that. Damn it.
I mean, that's
yeah, that is questionable. Yeah, that is questionable. I question it.
What has it been, like 4 weeks?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she's got a jacket.
Yeah,
it's kind of like
she's in the family already. I mean, it's earned. Bro, this is earned.
As somebody who has famously rushed into bad relationships, this is just another level of rushing, bro. It's like you're taking a Indy 500 car and running it off a cliff.
Oh, AEW did make it make sense. So QT and Dustin are the number 2 contenders in the rankings this week. We're not going to go through the rankings. If you go to All Elite Wrestling Twitter, they put them out every Wednesday. Well, they're the number 2 team, so they get a title shot this week because the number 1 contenders don't get a title shot until
Fyter Fest.
So it actually makes sense.
There you go. Yeah. So now we know. So there you go.
Yeah,
it's just a little bit of a warm-up matchup, kind of.
Yeah.
For when Omega and Hangman end up going to Fyter Fest. So,
and they're undefeated as a tag team. So we got to see this.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see what happens. After this, we had the AEW Women's World Champion Hikaru Shida, my girl, teaming with Chris Statlander to take on the native beast Nyla Rose and Penelope Ford.
Hikaru Shida's birthday was on the 11th.
It was, yes. I was so happy to see that, and I was super excited. I made sure to wish her happy birthday on Instagram. We had this tag match. Was a very fun match. I think I'm really enjoying to see. I'm looking more to see Shida defend her championship. It was nice to see Chris Statlander again. I was really nice to see her, and Nyla Rose and Penelope Ford worked really well together. And I was very excited to just see. I just want to see what Shida does for her title run, because I just want to see who she takes on. But the match finished with Shida running into the ropes, but Kip Sabian grabbed her leg while the ref was distracted. Penelope Ford knocked her out, and actually with the title, and she was able to pin Hikaru Shida. But
man,
we know
that bridge on the hangman suplex that she gets. Man, that's impressive. She has like one of the deepest bridges I've seen in wrestling. I mean, it's just like, if you look at the angle of her body, it's like, I don't know how she does that. I
did gymnastics. I don't know how she does it. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I was like, the angle that she's at, it looks like, and she can, because she gets higher on it than everyone else. I'm like, I don't know, just watch anybody that does a German and holds, or a fisherman suplex and holds. It is pretty impressive how able the angle that she's able to get on her bridge.
Yeah, I can't even explain it. It just doesn't make any sense physically. But hell yeah, she can do it. But yeah, Penelope Ford, yeah, she gets the pinfall for her team, but obviously with that title shot, it definitely did something. But getting a pin on the champion is definitely something we could see her getting a title shot in the future.
Yeah, I am really excited that I'm really excited with the possibility of that match. Penelope Ford, the first time I saw her wrestle was, I believe, I might have seen her wrestle before. The first time she had a focus, it was NWA 70th anniversary. She was wrestling against Jazz, and she did her backflip elbow spot, but it was basically a squash by Jazz, and I was just like, well, she might have something. And I honestly can say, ever since then, she's done nothing but get better. And, she might be a future top contender in this company.
Yeah, we'll have to see what she does, if she does end up getting a title match, or what she does next.
Yeah, absolutely.
We then had a 6-man tag match between Best Friends and OC, Orange Cassidy, taking on the Inner Circle, specifically Jake Hager and Santana and Ortiz. And yes, I was very much excited to see OC and Best Friends actually team together again, because I don't believe we've seen them team together that often in 6-man matches. But I was also excited to see Jake Hager back in the ring. And overall, these guys did a really fun match. I was surprised to see how the match ended, but before we get to what happened after the match, do you want to add anything to specifically what you thought about this match?
To the match, Jake Hager, beast, Hager bomb. I really dig that. He took that from homage to Vader, and calling to Hager bomb is good. Then we Orange Cassidy, because of his sloth-like nature. When he heats up, it's the best hot exchange in wrestling. He doesn't even need a hot tag. He kind of hot tags himself, because he does a good job of when the bursts come. Like, everything he does is pretty mundane, by wrestling standards. But because he sets you up so long by doing nothing, and you don't know when it's come, you find yourself jumping up and really being into the moment, because you don't know when the House of Fire is going to end. So I just thought that was like one of the more impressive things, because Trent can go, Chuck can go, everybody else in the ring is amazing, but Orange Cassidy, it's just, I've been trying to, since I first saw him, I've been trying to put my finger on what makes him special, and it's just like that whole idea of the stop and start. He's like the natural change-up. It's amazing.
Oh, 100%. He's like, he doesn't try, but when he does, he's one of the best. And I think that's a really, really fun character arc to go with. He pretty much took out each member of the Inner Circle in that, and eventually was able to get a roll-up on Ortiz to get the pinfall. Jericho was not happy about that on commentary, and proceeded to go into the ring and take his baseball bat that he brought out to commentary and knock him in the head and just bust him open. He then grabs a bag of, they said it was blood oranges.
Yes.
And they said it was about 20 pounds of them. And he just swings it at him. And, like, you could tell he was making some good contact, too, because I'm pretty sure I saw the oranges were just leaking. Like, and it was like, they left, no pun intended, they left Orange Cassidy in a complete pulp.
Yes, he said Orange Cassidy got juiced. And, again, if I said that in real life, all my friends would go womp womp. But good old Jericho says it, and it's over. And it's probably going to be on a T-shirt one day. Blood Orange Cassidy is the thing. Orange Cassidy juicing on, I honestly didn't even mean the pun there. Orange Cassidy bleeding on like a Dynamite, like a normal Dynamite, is nuts to me. It's just like, oh my God. I remember when Cody and the whole Cody and Dustin thing happened, and they were bleeding, and and Cody got busted open by Sean Spears' chair. Tony's like, man, we're not gonna have blood on TNT because they don't want us to do that. Dude, someone bleeds every week.
Yeah, about that, Cody.
I
love you, man.
Apparently TNT does not have a problem with it because someone bleeds every week.
I love you, but you're full of shit.
It's like, I don't know. See, that's the whole thing. The truth is one thing. The truth in February might not be the truth in April, TNT probably said, hey, you know what? Hey, that works. Go for it. You know what I mean? The direction might have changed, but I'm just saying, if you go by what he said versus like literally every week on TV, it feels like either they're getting away with it or somebody doesn't have a problem with it anymore. I imagine TNT doesn't have a problem with it. Orange Cassidy, this is crazy because he's such a beloved person. I would have loved to not hear that crowd if that happened in front of our crowd.
Oh, dude.
Stunned silence. The crowd would have been silent.
Well, plus all the people that were complaining that, like, oh, why are you cheering Jericho? He's the heel. You beat up Orange Cassidy like that, nobody's gonna like you. Like, people are gonna be like, oh, fuck you. You hurt OC and you busted him open? Like, what the hell?
Yes.
Like, you can only imagine how pissed people would have been that they just destroyed Orange Cassidy.
I've seen some silly feuds happen in my life, but the fact that they're feuding because Orange Cassidy walked through their shot during an interview, that is amazing to me. That's where I busted you open because you walked through my shot on a TV during an interview. That is hilarious.
And because I asked for Tyson and I got you.
Yes.
So
he did come out. He did answer the baddest man on the planet, but he could have just been walking that way, and then somebody hit the music. He might not have done that on purpose.
Never know. Never know. But I will say, like, you got some emotion out of a feud with a comedy wrestler like Orange Cassidy, and like some legit heat off of that. So that's good shit. I'm very much behind that, and I'm very excited to see where this very weird but very intriguing feud is going on in the future.
Yes.
I forgot.
What?
Oh, go ahead.
No, you forgot to say what?
I forgot to say earlier there was a video package with my boy Darby Allin. I didn't want to leave him out. He actually got to do a video package with Tony freaking Hawk, which was cool. He just said he's not medically cleared, but he didn't need a doctor's note to skate with Tony Hawk, which was super cool. He just did a bunch of tricks with Tony there, which I thought was really cool. I'm not a skater, but you know what? I love Darby, so I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, I freaking love Tony Hawk. Yeah, I even back in the day, I used to play the video game, even though, I didn't. I've never been on a skateboard in my life. So, yeah.
Well, there you go.
It requires balance. I don't do that.
But after that, Tony Schiavone was gonna interview Gun Club. MJF decided to be an ass, which isn't really a shocker. But he went after Billy Sons. Billy was not happy about that. He tried to grab MJF real quick, but then set Wardlow in front of Billy. So
yes,
that
line about getting one of your useless sons, a job, I died. Oh my God. I guess, that's not supposed to be funny. Oh my God, that hurt my stomach. That was so funny.
Oh yeah, it was so good. And after that, we had the Spanish God Sammy Guevara taking on Boom Boom Colt Cabana. I was really excited to see this matchup because, like I said, I love Sammy. He has been one of those guys that I didn't think anything of when I first saw the roster for AEW, but once he got on and as he kept going, I just kept loving him more and more and more. And I've always loved Cole. I think Colt's great. And just seeing these guys put on a match, I was excited to see these guys work together, and it was a really good matchup. Maybe a little shorter than I wanted it to be necessarily, but you know what? I was okay with it, and it was still a fun match to see. What'd you think, Floyd?
Yeah, I thought this was really good. I liked that they're doing this whole idea that Colt is in a bit of a slump, and that it's not... the commentary is doing a great job of pointing out that it's not that he's not good enough, it's that he keeps making mistakes at key points in time. Like he was going for his Chicago skyline and he slipped off the rope, and then that's how Sammy Guevara was able to reverse it into his finisher. How he was wrestling Jericho and he does that little catapult off the corner to build momentum, and he slipped, and that's how Jericho hit him with the Judas effect. That is very, very detailed storytelling, and the match was good. It was just really short. I would have liked a few more minutes of this match.
Yeah, but what we got, I think, was good. I do like you said, I do like seeing Cabana, because Cabana's been wrestling for so long, and having this guy who's he gets this opportunity on this new brand, but all of a sudden he's starting to feel like not himself, and now is just starting to doubt himself. It seems like is a really cool way of seeing him just slowly change, and we don't know exactly what's going to happen, because after that match he did actually go into Mr. Brody Lee's office and just didn't really answer any questions for the backstage interview. But also after this match, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, I compare him signing with AEW and, maybe changing his character, because I'm seeing what Joey Ryan's doing in Impact, where he went from the King of Sleaze to part of cancel culture. So it's I like that these people that have been doing these certain characters their whole career are at least open to trying to change things. And it's I don't know if this is going to go full Colt Cabana in the Dark Order, which, again, that's one of my favorite things, is that when I'm intrigued just by a storyline and don't know the ending, or if it's just going to lead to a full-out feud with Brody Lee. But I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming next.
Yeah, no, same. And then after this match again, we also had Matt Hardy come out as Sammy was going off on the microphone saying that he was the best in AEW, but then Matt Hardy comes out and he just comes out saying hey, I respect you. I think you're the future of this company, but listen, if you want to maximize your full potential, if you want to be the best that you can possibly be, you got to get away from Jericho in the Inner Circle. Just saying, trust me, man. Sammy didn't want to hear anything of it. He's like, you were cheering me on about to die at that Stadium Stampede match. Matt Hardy then was just slowly changing and shifting through his different vessels until he eventually ended up at Damascus, and was just saying, I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to mash you, Samuel. Just screaming delete over and over and over again. So it seems like part of Matt is listen, you'll be great if you leave the Inner Circle, but if you're not going to leave the Inner Circle, I'm going to beat the shit out of you.
Exactly. There's three different parts. There is Matt. Matt Hardy is the leader, the locker room leader, the veteran. He's trying to take as many young people under his wing and show them the right way. V1 just wants to talk about himself. He doesn't really care who else is there. He just wants
his Matitude facts.
Yeah, he just wants to tell you how awesome he is. And then there's Damascus, who just wants to kill everybody and everything. And he's the one that actually ran over Sammy. That's why Matt Hardy's like, you know what? We're cool. Now Damascus, he'll fucking murder you, but we're cool. Which is even crazier when you're Sammy, because it's like you're all the same guy, and he's like, obviously they're not.
I do really like, because I love Broken Matt Hardy, but I'm also really intrigued with this sort of Jekyll and Hyde sort of situation that they're going with Matt's different characters, because considering how long he's been around, it just seems like fucking genius.
See, now I can say this is what I would have liked. Like, I know for some people this is just not their cup of tea. I don't like him changing, like, in front of people. I would have liked,
you know what, yeah,
I would have liked Matt Hardy trying to reason with him, and then they had, a pre-taped video of Broken Matt trying to kill him. So
yeah, or something like the lights turn off, and then all of a sudden it's Damascus standing in front of him.
Yes. But, yeah, it just looked like he was having mental health issues. It's like, I would normally, if someone did that to me, I would see about taking them to a doctor. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know what's going on here, but this ain't right.
Somebody look at him, please.
Yeah, help him.
We then had a video package of Joey Janela, who is at a bar doing shots, just talking about his AEW career and just saying somewhere in these last 6 months, he's kind of just lost his direction and his focus. He was drinking alone out in the street, but then Sonny Kiss actually drove by and picked him up and offered a ride, and then it just kind of ended with a to be continued. So we've seen them team. I'm not sure exactly what this is building towards, but I mean, again, I'm intrigued. I don't know exactly what we're going to get out of this, but I like seeing Joey Janela. I'm digging Sonny Kiss, so we'll see what happens.
I'm very excited for this because I remember the Sonny Kiss and Dustin Rhodes team that people had given the name Kiss and Make Up, and I was really looking forward to where that went. Now, a Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela thing, man, now that is intriguing. I want to know, are they going to be a new tag team? How they're going to assist each other? Both, but the thing that makes me most happy is it's going to lead to more time for Sonny Kiss on TV. Everyone can bury me. I'm not the biggest Joey Janela fan anymore, ever, at all. He does nothing for me. So, hopefully, maybe this brings out a different side of him. Maybe he becomes someone that can entertain me.
Yeah, we'll see. It's definitely good to see things may be changing. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, and there's just, it's going to be intriguing to see what happens.
Yes, but I keep an open mind to Joey Janela. I have never written him off. It's just, I've seen him wrestle, and it's just like, he falls off.
Look, man.
I just throw up my hands and say he falls off stuff. That's what I say, and it's just like, I guess, it's kind of like what a lot of people used to think about Mick Foley, and I'm like, but no, you don't get it. It's the story. Maybe I just need more of Joey Janela's story.
That's what I'm thinking. I think once you get more of that, I think you'll really start to get into Joey, because I think Joey's great. We then had Jon Moxley show up and get interviewed by Alex Marvez, but he just was tired of Taz and running his mouth about Brian Cage. He's just like, I'm sick of this. But he's like, he can't wait. He said specifically, I can't wait to beat Brian Cage and then pop Taz's head like a pimple. And Taz then comes out, just says, enough of this. You better get your head right because you're going to tap out at Fyre Fest. But then Brian Cage just comes running from behind and hits Moxley from behind and then just puts him through the hood of a car. It breaks the glass of the hood of a car and just with a spine buster, and then he beat the hell out of him in the parking lot. But I will say, the running clothesline that started off, it just didn't hit as hard as I wanted it to, because I was like, he's coming in, and he's like, I can see him running from behind the camera, and I'm like, when I see something coming like that, I expect it to hit hard, like kind of like when Hangman was running down the field building for the Stadium Stampede match. I was like, I need it to hit. If I can see him coming from a mile away, I need it to hit. And it just didn't hit as hard as I wanted it to. And it's not like I don't like Mox. I fucking love Mox, but I was just like, I wanted that to hit so much harder. But
yes.
Brian Cage,
I can see what you're talking about there.
Yeah, Brian Cage beat up Moxley. Finally, was able to get his hands really on Moxley and just really start to make a big impact there. So we'll just keep building towards Fyter Fest until these guys collide. Yeah. What were we going to say about this, though?
Oh, no. I was just saying it actually built a lot of intrigue for me personally. We got, 3 weeks away for it, and it was just like it didn't feel like this feud was hot. It didn't feel like this feud really mattered. I think this helped a lot with it. Brian Cage is one of those people. He doesn't lose very much. So, and then, Mox hasn't lost at all. So something has to give. So I am looking for, did that little segment, it went from no fire to it kind of stoked it a little bit for me. I need them to fan the flames over the next few weeks.
Yeah, me too. I feel like that's the same sort of thing. And I think these next coming weeks, I think they might actually pull that off. Then we have the main event, the TNT Championship Open Challenge from Cody. Cody takes on one half of Private Party, Mark Quinn, which I was very happy to see. Actually, Matt Hardy was actually accompanying him as well as Isaiah Cassidy. I thought that was actually a really cool moment. But the one thing I really liked going into this match was the fact that Jim Ross mentioned Mark Quinn had his ankle injury that he had with his match against Matt Hardy. Made sure to be building that up, being like, we don't know if he's 100% going into this thing, but these guys did a really good job finishing off the show. Like we've seen Private Party go in singles competition before on Dynamite, but seeing Mark Quinn go into this title match, I felt like people were like, yeah, we've seen Private Party do singles matches, but they're like, I don't know necessarily for a title, but I think Quinn did a really good job putting on a match against Cody. It was really good. And it was also nice to see Cody he didn't win with just the crossroads. He won by getting a really strong, just ankle lock on and just cinching it in really hard until the point where Mark Quinn had to tap out because just his ankle couldn't give anymore.
Oh, dude, that how he worked the leg and the knee during the match was amazing. It was Flair-esque, and then you saw that shooting star press to the outside on the apron that he hit on Cody was amazing.
Yeah.
The ankle lock, how he went for another of the shooting star press. Cody saw it coming, then grabbed his ankle, put him in the ankle lock, and then something I hadn't seen, he braced the leg with one of his legs and then pushed back with the other leg. So it's like, I don't know if everyone knows how, strength works. Your legs are way stronger than your arms. And it's like, it's really no way to reverse out of that. You usually can jiggle enough to get somebody to let their grip, but the way he had his ankle bent, there was nothing you can do but tap out. I just thought this was a really good match. And one thing about it is they haven't been doing traditional open challenges. You usually know who the match is before the challenge is actually open, instead of like the old Cena Open challenges, where he's like, the Cena Open challenge has begun, and then somebody comes out. This is more of, you already know who the open challenge is going to be. Apparently, next week, which we'll talk about later, it's going to be like the true open challenge.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we also got to see a little bit of a sneak peek of another future challenger for the TNT Championship, because after this match, Jake Hager walked out and he got in front of Cody's face, but then he also proceeded to grab Arn Anderson, put his hands on him, and Cody was like, absolutely not. But then Cody he just went through a match. Hager was beating the hell out of him, but then Private Party and Matt Hardy come out to assist Cody. Inner Circle then comes in, and then just everything's going crazy in the ring. Cody knew. It's like, Jake, I know what you're asking. You want a TNT title match at Fyter Fest, so you got it. So at Fyter Fest, we're going to get Cody versus Jake Hager for the TNT Championship. And hell yes. Like, this is a matchup for this title where you're like, I'm not sure about this one because, like, we saw what Jake did to his brother. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen with this one.
It's kind of crazy with this. Like, I don't know. The ending kind of felt forced.
A little bit, yeah. I was gonna say the all-out brawl was kind of.
Yeah, it felt almost unnecessary. If Jake Hager came out and said Cody's doing the opening challenge, Jake Hager come out to the stage, points at him, says me, you, Fyter Fest, and then Cody gets on the mic and says me, you, and Fyter Fest. Let's do it. You're on. And the show stops with them kind of staring at each other in the middle of the ring. That would have been fine to me.
Yeah, I did like seeing him like actually get physical with Arn. I thought that was a good moment. But I thought just when it all broke out to the Inner Circle versus Matt Hardy and Cody in the Private Party, and it was just like where it was just like everybody going against everybody. I was like, okay, let's.
Yeah,
I was like,
I was getting physical with Arn. It's like I think we have three more Dynamites before Fyter Fest, so I feel like probably could have
saved that.
You could have saved two more. It's two more Dynamites before Fyter Fest, 17th and 24th, and then Fyter Fest starts. You could have saved him kind of going after Arn, but just kind of announced the match. I can say it's a critique. It's just the end is just like most of their ends come from like the start, like the start or the middle of the feud. It just felt like this one was kind of random.
Yeah, but I think still the announcement itself is going to be really good. To see that match.
No. I'm very excited about Hager versus Cody. No, don't get me wrong. I was just a critique. I didn't have a problem with it. I thought the episode, now that we're at the end, I thought the episode was fire. I couldn't have literally asked for a better, I couldn't have asked or dreamed for a better episode of show on my birthday. Only thing that was missing was me in the building.
Just about to say.
I was like, I really loved it. We got a great tag team match. We got a singles world title match. We saw a bunch of feuds leading to new title matches next week. I mean, Kenny and Hangman have to fight the Natural Nightmares next week. 2 weeks before they have to defend their titles against the Best Friends. So they got 2 matches they got to get through. And then the Best Friends, and this is our preview of next week, the Best Friends putting their title shots up, after Orange Cassidy gets busted up, Best Friends like, we want Jericho. So they're going against lay sex gods, and they put their title shot on the line.
Yeah, that's huge. And not only that, we're also going to get the Young Bucks taking on the Superbad Squad, which I think that has the potential to be a really, really good match. And then we have MJF taking on Billy after their little altercation, which, yes, more MJF on TV.
Everything leads to something in AEW. Nothing is just
It really does, yeah.
Yeah, MJF insulting Billy. Maybe a dark match against Austin first or something. No. Straighten that match next week. It's amazing.
Exactly. And then, of course, we're going to have another Cody Open Challenge matchup, which Floyd has a scoop on this.
I have a spoiler. Okay, if you don't want to know who Cody is wrestling next week, and I won't put it in the show notes, I promise, but if you don't want to know who Cody's facing, go ahead and turn off the show now.
We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week. I'll wait. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, reports on Reddit, and then I heard it on the Voices of Wrestling flagship podcast that I was listening to today. It's a great reason the reason I don't mind doing our show a little later than everyone else's. It looks like Cody is wrestling Ricky Starks. Stroke Daddy himself, or Absolute Ricky Starks, depending on who you are. He was last seen as in the NWA. I believe he was the television champion there. But yeah, Stroke Daddy, Absolute Ricky Starks is going to answer Cody's challenge. This does confirm a previous question Cody was asked will contenders from outside of AEW be allowed in? And it looks like they will. So Ricky Starks versus Cody. Again, if you don't, I'm sorry if you kept listening past the spoiler warning. I'm sorry, but now you know the answer, and it's gonna hopefully be really good match. It was one of the things I was pointing out. The numbers came out from AEW this week as far as ratings, and they were a little down from last week. And, and they were like, well, Cody's open challenge. I heard some people say Cody's open challenge isn't hitting, and I was like, it's not a true open challenge. I think when you get to the open challenge, there's that excitement for the few seconds or 30 seconds from when he says the open challenge or whatever is open, and, the person comes out. That's the surprise aspect. When you announce that it's Mark Quinn a few days before, let me ask, Austin, is anything in your mind think Mark Quinn actually had a chance of beating Cody?
No disrespect to Mark Quinn, but no.
No. So, and then you got a main event on the other channel, right? You have a main event on the other channel, or you have another show you could be watching where you already know what's going to happen on AEW. It's different. Like next week, and like I said, I spoiled the surprise, but you would at least had that moment, that hesitation where it was like, who's coming out for Cody? And then you would have got that pop when you saw the new guy walk out. Now, win, lose, or draw, you would have at least had that moment. And it's just like, I think that's what's kind of been missing from the open challenge aspect of this.
Yeah, and first of all, as somebody who has sadly not been able to keep up with NWA Power, I'm very excited to see Ricky Starks on AEW. I have been trying so hard to keep up with NWA Power, but it's just been too much wrestling, but I'm doing my best to keep up. So I'm very excited about that.
He's good in the ring, but he is a killer promo. Like, he's as good as he is in the ring. Let's say he's a B in the ring. He's like an A with 2 pluses on the mic. Ricky Starks is a hell of a promo. I would love to see a feud between him and MJF. I don't know if that's ever in the case, but they're both so good on the mic, and they're so old school with how they cut promos that it would just be a magic to see them together. I'm looking forward to him wrestling against Cody. Cody continuing this killer pace where he's trying to prove to everybody that he is a great in-ring performer. So he's doing what he has to do. Love it.
Absolutely.
What are you excited about next week, sir?
I mean, I'm excited to see the Young Bucks take on Superbad Squad, and I'm definitely excited to see Ricky Starks. And like I said, MJF getting a match like against somebody like Billy, who, like I said, he's had stuff against Billy. I remember being at Double or Nothing 1 where he had his little moment with Billy in the Casino Battle Royal match. So these guys are very familiar with each other, at least. So I'm excited to see what happens there. And then, of course, we have that tag title matchup with Natural Nightmares and Hangman and Omega. So there's a ton of stuff to be excited for. But I will say, in regards to what you said about the Open Challenge, I do think the biggest thing people want is just that surprise factor of not knowing who it's going to be each week. I think that definitely adds something to it. Knowing in advance who it is going to be, it gives you an idea to formulate how you think the match is going to go, and if you think it's feasible enough for this person to actually go over and win the title. So I get that, but I feel like they also just don't want to be compared to John Cena's one, because I think that was the instant comparison. But
the thing I didn't like, and this is a very rare criticism of Cody, I wish he just hadn't said he was going to do open challenge. I just wish there would have just been a match every week.
Yeah, he just said, like, I'm just going to face a new person every single week.
Or, no, not even say that. Just have a match every week without announcing it first. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
start without setting the standard that it's going to happen every week, because then it's going to get compared to open challenge, as opposed to if he just, okay, I had a match this week against this person, I got a match next week against this person, and then people will start saying, is he going to defend the match every week? And it answers its own self instead of announcing it ahead of time. It's not making it a surprise. It's just kind of letting it develop on its own instead of Because once you said, I'm going to fight somebody, and he uses the term open challenge, you're going to get compared to Cena.
Oh, yeah, sure. Nah, exactly. But either way, it's still fun to see these title matches, so I think it's just...
No, I want to see Cody on my TV every week.
Well, duh.
Yeah, but not, I mean, I know not everybody feels the same way I do, and I accept people for having bad taste, but when the Nightmare is on my screen, I am watching, I am focused, his phone's down. If you noticed, like I was tweeting through the whole show, Cody comes on, phone goes down.
Oh, yeah.
I watch Cody. Cody got to work. It's just like when you got to watch a great stand-up on stage, you turn your phone off. When you watch an artist paint, or you're at a play, you sit there and you give that art your full attention. When Cody's in the ring painting another masterpiece, he gets my full attention.
There you go, man. There you go. And overall, that's just this week in AEW. And I want to thank you guys so much for listening. Real quick before I let my buddy Floyd sign us out of here, be sure, again, to follow us all on social media. Follow the podcast at AT Elite Pod. Follow Social Suplex at Social Suplex. Follow myself at SZoomer4. And follow Floyd at Floyd Johnson Jr. Floyd, take us home.
Yes. As the great Jackie Moon said of the Flint Tropics once uttered.
Thank you. I'm a Flint boy. Thank you.
There's only one rule in this world. Everybody love everybody. But whether you're at home, work, at school, always do your best to be elite.